Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights, Upper Deck's May hockey releases. I've got 8 products from Upper Deck, almost all hockey, released in May. A couple of them were April, but I'm going to review them from the cheapest to the most expensive, giving them feedback that this is amazing. I love opening all product, but to get 8 different products and none of them are more than $200 a box, I think that's terrific. It's maybe unrealistic to think a lot of boxes could be under 100, but under 200, the higher you go, the more you've got to either put a lot of good stuff in there and you're cutting kids out. So these are all reasonably, to a greater degree than some of the other sports, accessible to the teenage kid that's not making a big salary while going to high school, but wants to enjoy the hobby. At the same time I got news about Upper Deck's market leadership thrust to create a public database on their RPAs. And I applaud them for that. They're going to be showing what the actual patch looks like so that it can't be replaced. And they're actually having their own slabbing, which is another issue, but it's certainly their prerogative. You could always grade it and reslab it. But I still think there's some potential in the years to come that there'll be some thought that I want to protect my card, but to pay big bucks to get something graded and authenticated when it's right out of the pack, whether it's a 9, 9.5, 10, whatever it is, it's a great looking card. And by Upper Deck putting it into a secure slab, I'm not sure the size of the slab or whether it's a uniform thickness or compatible with some of the other leading grading brands. A lot of my best cards are graded for protection, and I obviously am partial to BGS. But to look down on an RPA card that is a 9, I don't think the market's doing that if it's a limited number thing. If it's to 99 and you'd rather have a 10, if it's hard to get a 10, you'd pay a little more, but to pay an extreme premium. Anyway, thank you, Upper Deck, for stepping out and doing that. There's some cost associated with doing that, and I hope their efforts are rewarded by confidence in their cup brand, which already has a lot of confidence. It's a pricey and interesting thing. Okay, the first product, and it's not in reverse price order, but the AEW stood out. And I realized wrestling is an example of a sport that can bring in men and women. Basketball, I don't know they'll be able to do that going forward, whether licenses will be split. Baseball, there's going to be some women's softball league now. But clearly in wrestling, pulling together men and women in the same set. Golf could do that. Basketball could do that. Soccer could do that. Olympics could do that. So I think there's been such a swing toward increased emphasis on women's sports. So I think that's good. It just points out to me when I open up the product, I was way more of a wrestling fan when I was younger, much younger. But these days, it may be likely that a wrestling fan can be turned into a collector, but a non-wrestling fan to buy a box of these, even at $125 a box. Again, these other minor sports compared to baseball and basketball and football are value in the sense that they're not having to pay as much for the autographs and the attributes, presumably. And so they're passing on good value. I would like to see more parallels. I don't want too many parallels that are all easy. I'd like to have more of a spread. And I realize each company has their own brand identity or company identity for what they emphasize, whether they do tricky kinds of SPs and SSPs or exotic inserts or extreme parallels to the 87th degree. But I'd like to see a little more complexity, maybe a little more serial numbering. I don't need a lot, but if something is 1 per pack, you shouldn't serial number it. But if it's 1 per box, it's nice to know that. The next product in order was the 2024-25 AHL Hockey. It says that's the sport's top minor league. I really have always considered CHL as better than the AHL in terms of readiness for the NHL. But this was $60 a box, came out in early May, 1 autograph, 1 numbered parallel card per box, 12 packs of 10. It was a fun open, but I got a sticker autograph on there. The thesis is you have to have stickers because the players are difficult to access or it's going to hold up the product. And so I certainly was hoping the AHL players were more accessible. So anyway, $60 a box. I'd love to see some American Hockey League AHL alums included in the set. That may not be possible, but I like the blend of having just a pure prospect set. On the other hand, Upper Deck has done a great job I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just pointing out some things that I would like. But I think Upper Deck has done a great job of not making their products too gimmicky. In other words, not having extreme parallels, other kinds of situations that may work in other sports. But I think hockey fans and hockey collectors are serious collectors. They want parallels. They want game used. They want autographs, but they don't want a gimmicky set that's parallels for the sake of parallels or extreme inserts that are difficult to figure out if they're not worth that much. Okay, the next one is the CHL came out, and that's $70 a box, came out in May. And I always thought CHL was more like the AAA in baseball and AHL was like a AA, but I may be wrong. I just think that a lot of the best guys have either gone straight to the NHL or come through the CHL or through the junior system. But both of these boxes, just one autograph per box. Again, the more serious hockey collector, or if you live in a town that has one of the AHL or CHL teams, I guess that's the market there. But if you're really serious, that autograph, you might want to hold it for a while, because especially these younger guys have not emerged. They're touted prospects, but the game speeds up every level that you increase. More cards per pack. It's 12 packs of 16, so a bunch more cards. So it makes the CHL look a little better. I was disappointed not to see any of the canvas parallels, the canvas cards. I like those, especially the black and white ones. The design was the same as the AHL. That's the economy of really being immersive in a sport. Good job, Upper Deck. I think there's more teams in the CHL. I'm not positive of that, but I think the CHL is a bigger league. Okay, the next one is the 24-25 Extended, the Upper Deck Extended, but with Young Guns. And I'm into it. I'm setting aside now Young Guns that I've had over the years. And if they're 10 years ago, they've either made it or not. But 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, but it's Ovechkin on the box, which was a wise choice. 12 packs of 12, a lot of touting of the Young Guns. It's the home of the Young Guns. I did notice the Upper Deck Extended series of hockey has the serrated packs, which I greatly prefer. I want easy opening, and if they're serrated at the top, they rip apart. If they're not, you could ding some corners. So $120 a box, came out in late May. Thanks for Extended Hockey, and it goes with my Series 1 and 2. The next one was SPX, 24-25 SPX. Now we're getting to $110 a box, released earlier in April. If it's a 24-25, not a big deal, except I got a Connor Bedard card in my box, and he's not a rookie. I got some rookies in there. It says collect more rookies per box than ever. That's their sell copy on it on average. Again, whatever they say on average, you're going to do at least that. But it's hard for me to compare to last year. I guess I could go back and check. But it does have more of an emphasis on rookies. And in 24-25, maybe the thought is the rookie class is broader with Celebrini and Lane Hudson and some guys like that. Okay, next was the 24-25 Skybox Metal Universe Hockey. I love this product. Even if I don't get something great, I did get a gold bullion. And I'm thinking I would have rather had a PMG, a red or a blue or purple or whatever the different ones they have, green. I love the way those pop because I was there when the originals came up. I did get a rookie of Logan Stankoven, and I wondered what happened to him. And there was, oh, wait a minute, he got traded for Mikko Rantanen, who helped take the Stars all the way to the conference finals, but just had some great periods. Let's see, $120 a box, 15 packs of 6. So every opening is like a lottery ticket to hope I get something that's super colorful. I didn't do terrific on it, but when you think about it, part of the value of the box is the possibility. If you're paying $120 for a box, you might be paying $75 for the cards and $45 for the enjoyment and the chance to get something really special. And I did not, but you mean I didn't enjoy it. And next to last here, 24-25 SP Game Used, as befits the name of the product. 1 pack of 9, heavy on game used stuff. Again, 24-25, so you're dealing with those current crop of rookies. I did get a draft day mark of a player I hadn't heard of, so I'm going to hold on to that, and it may go on my wall if the player comes on strong. And again, still sticker autographs. Again, I don't think card companies want sticker autographs, but if you say, I don't want any sticker autographs, when you're collecting, it's appropriate to say, I'm going to pay less. If it's a game-used material that is not specific and they don't declare when and where it was worn, then you should vote with your dollars to pay less. But this is a complicated product with all the things going on with the memorabilia, relics, materials there. So sticker autographs, less desirable, but perhaps necessary in order to get everything in the product. When the production of cards is, and I mentioned this in my Star Basketball episodes, is that if you're just putting ink on cardstock and there's no other layers or other treatments, a lot of printers can do that, and a lot of printers can cut them up. It's the collation, it's the special cards, autographs, game used, parallels, serial numbered, SSPs, all those kind of things add to the thing. Then finally, the 23-24 NHL Ultimate Collection. Again, by naming it 23-24, which again, they're not doing this capriciously. I'm sure it's negotiated with the NHL Properties and Players Association, but that brings Connor Bedard back into it, who hasn't, we'll see, he's still hopefully going to be great, but it's 1 pack of 4. And I got a card for my wall, Matthew Tkachuk. It was a signature masterpiece. It had a gold signature. It was terrific. I'm putting that up, and he'd be under the T's, even though it's Tkachuk. But they're calling this ultra premium, and I think there's got to be words that are clear. If it's ultra premium and it's $170 a box, that just sounds like it's still 4 cards, so you're paying $42.50 a card. But I got a great card in there, and the other cards, they were all good. They were all good. So congrats, Upper Deck, for being able to put out cool cards at a popular price. The hockey fans, I think, really appreciate that. And I'm not as much of a hockey fan as I used to be. The Stars are out now, but it's been great watching them come close the last 3 years. Hopefully next year they'll reload and firm up some things that were exposed by Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, 2 of the best players in the league. So thanks, everybody, and thanks, Upper Deck, and thanks other sponsors, Topps Panini, Heritage Auctions, Southern Scott Auctions, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, ComC.com, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate hockey fans and fans of any cards. Thank you again.